Good morning, my garden friends. I wanted to take you on a little walk here this morning, just a little tour of my garden. And it's towards the end of May, um, and it's just such a pretty, quiet morning that I thought you might like to enjoy some of the sights and sounds that I see when I come out each morning before I take off on my walk. So, this is my front yard. And I've never told you guys the story that we moved here in 2007, and this was just a blank slate. There was nothing here. We did have lawn, we did have grass, and they had planted. The developer had planted a big pine tree. A big palm tree in the front, and the crepe myrtle was there, but it was very tiny. And there was a hibiscus, a little like a little lollipop, where they train it into almost like a topiary, and the top is just very bushy. And whoever planted it never thought to take the root and pull it straight and plant it in the ground. That's a real tip for you. If you ever take a plant out and it has completely grown around the inside of the pot, make sure you straighten that root before you plant it, because uh, it will never straighten on its own. You've planted it in the ground. And it also never, the hibiscus itself never was very healthy, and it finally died off. Anyway, we moved the palm tree because it was too big, and we had planted a Leyland cypress. It was just a small little Leyland cypress. It was a few feet tall, and it was only supposed to grow about 6 inches a year. And we thought, gee, in 10 years, if it grows 5 feet, that would be great. Well, unfortunately, it grew about 2.5 feet a year, and we had to have that 25-foot tree removed a few years ago because the roots were growing under our foundation. And every time we had a hurricane, the wind would blow down the street, and we could see the roots lifting up, and it became a real hazard. So we took that out, and the elm tree was planted here about 7 years ago, and it is now kind of a monster. But it seems to be hanging on. Their roots seem to go down further, and they're not as destructive as, say, the live oak trees that they like to plant here in Florida. Live oak is so easy to grow that's a lot of what the developers use because, it's inexpensive. But anyway, I had petunias growing here in the front, and it was glorious. It looked like a Monet. They were lavenders and purples and pinks and mauve, and a few lighter colored ones to kind of give accent. But the yard has pretty much evolved over the last 13 years. And I enjoy it. I enjoy doing this type of gardening. I don't have a huge palette, but it's mine. And my husband, as he says, I don't much care to weed, which means he doesn't really care to plant either. So that's fine. We all have our passions. And his is photography, and he likes taking pictures of the sunrise. So do what makes you happy. Anyway, we had a little accident. I wanted to tell you about this. Excuse me. We had a little accident here. As I've said to you, we are east facing. This porch gets the morning sunlight, and so the going up the street is north, and we get the wind sailing down here, very, very strong. And these two pots were originally, the arborvitaes, when I planted them, were only about a foot. And I thought, well, they will stay in these pots for a long time, and I'll think about what I want to do in, 4 or 5 years. Well, it's a heavy pot and filled with dirt and wet. It's probably a good 70 pounds. Well, the wind blew, and it blew this front pot, this pot, forward, and it smashed the shrub that was right in front of it. And those shrubs, that, as you can see, those are a dwarf Wheeler mock orange, and they're supposed to have like a small little bloom, and I was really trying to get leave them long enough so that the blooms, so that it might have a chance to bloom. Anyway, they were probably up to about here. These pots were on a concrete block, so a concrete block is 8 inches high, and I had bricks on top to form a nice little border trim, and then the pot. So for that to fall, it really took that shrub down. And I'll just step closer and show you that the little smash spot there, that used to be about 3.5, 4 feet, probably about 6 or 8 inches now. So anyway, I pulled it away. I was going to dig it up, and I decided that instead of digging it up, I would kind of hide it in plain sight and probably plant things around it. But at least you get a nice view of the pot, So anyway, I trimmed back the hedge, which broke my heart because I probably have to wait another 4 or 5 years for the possibility of it to bloom. But it makes it look like it's meant to be more than cleaning up after an accident. And trimmed back the azaleas so that they looked a little more tame. And I had marigolds that were every bit as high as those. They were all in the front, and it started to look untidy. It started to look like a girl with her hair in the wind. But anyway, so everything got trimmed back. I can see I need to deadhead more marigolds, and everything kind of looks a little more orderly. And I'm not totally anal, but I do like to have order in my house, and so I think it looks so much better now. And this was just kind of a nice little walk. I just wanted to show you how things are going. Oh, and the other thing I did was when we had our trees taken down, we had 2 big oak trees in the backyard, and I asked the tree trimmer if he would leave some 16-inch pieces that I could carry around, if I wanted to use them as props. But what I did over the last 4 years, the bark of the tree as the tree has naturally dried out, the bark has separated from the wood of the tree. And as you can see, this is a telephone. This was where the telephone line came in, and for us and for our neighbor. And so I never planted anything around it until about 4 or 5 months ago, when I realized nobody has a landline anymore. We all have cell phones. And if the man had to do something, well then, if he had to destroy this, so be it. It'd give me a project to start again. So I had nothing around it, and I noticed that people were coming along and their dogs were frequenting this spot, which isn't very nice, but I'm not going to stand out here and turn a hose on anyone. I've thought about it, but I'm not going to. Anyway, I wanted to have a use for this bark that I thought would be so cool, and it makes kind of a natural setting, don't you think? I'll let you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to what you think it looks like. I think it's kind of cute. And I have marigolds and coleus in there. And there's a couple pentas that are trying to fight their way out. And I planted nasturtiums, but they didn't seem to do very well there. So, hey, just another project, and we either we succeed or we fail, or we just kind of, hang in there. And I think everything else looks pretty good. The giant Japanese mustard is just, boy, it's clicking right along. Every night I come out and I take off about 6 big leaves. And we have them with our entree, and then I take the tips and I chop those up, and we have that with a tomato and make a salad of it. So all good here. I love listening to the fountain. It's just so simple. It's very still right now, so you're not hearing any of the wind chimes, but and Gwendolyn there keeping an eye on the yard. She's such a sport. Oh, I did want to tell you something also. If you're growing something like salvia, it's so simple. Salvia really likes to be deadheaded. If you deadhead them and you just break it off, you can just throw them back on the ground. They'll either reseed, or if you want, you could cut it off here, but if you want to take it a little bit lower, and you can stick this whole thing right back in the dirt somewhere else. This will die back, and this will root, and you'll have another plant. So you can propagate, and it's so simple to do. This all started out as one plant. I have some over here too, but I'll just show you. This is my technique for growing. There. Okay, it's planted. Easy peasy. Garden what you've got. Make it simple, make it fun. Thanks for visiting. Thanks for coming to see my garden. I hope you'll come back again. I hope you'll subscribe and come and see me again. And I will move back here and leave you with a pretty view. Take care of yourselves. See you again real soon. Bye-bye.